So in this video, I'll go over how I went from that 14:30 marathon pace to an 8:30 marathon pace in 6 months. "6:30 in the morning, we are 9 days out from the San Francisco Marathon. Little speed work today. We have a 1 mile warm-up, followed by a 1 mile marathon pace, followed by a 7:40 tempo mile. We're gonna do 3 sets of that, the marathon pace and tempo mile, and then we'll cool down for the final mile for a total of 8 miles. My coach was messaging me last night. She's like encouraging me, telling me like, yeah, those marathon pace miles should be like your recovery run. So, I mean, we'll see.
I'm on the sound, hoodie season, back around, no more summer bounce, little squeeze out, squeeze, keep that indoors when we're throwing down, oversized jumping with our underwear out. I'm on the sound, hoodie season, back around, no more summer bounce, little squeeze out, squeeze, keep that indoors when we're throwing down, oversized jumping with our underwear out.
In about 6 months, this will be my 4th marathon that I've ran. My very first marathon I ran, I was on vacation in Maui, and I decided to just see how far I could run. And I ran 26.2 miles with a 14:30 pace, no training. A couple months later, I signed on for the LA Marathon with the intention of training, but without the passion or the seriousness or the planning behind it. My training for that race, you could even call it damn near non-existent. I ended up getting injured, barely getting any miles in, and I finished the LA Marathon with an average pace of 11:30 a mile. My 3rd marathon, the OC Marathon, that's when I started to fall in love with running, to start falling in love with the training, the process. I only trained about 4 weeks for that, but every little detail was accounted for. My diet, nutrition, recovery, my mileage, my speed work, my paces. I didn't miss one day. Everything was dialed in. I finished the OC Marathon way stronger, feeling good, with a 9:45 pace. Now going into the SF Marathon, we have about 10 weeks of prep for it, and we're gonna be aiming for an 8:30 pace. I could confidently say going into this next race, I feel ready, I feel strong, I did everything I possibly could have done. Nothing was skipped. We hit our paces, we hit our recovery, we hit our nutrition, and again, we kept falling in love with the process. Woo. So in this video, I'll go over how I went from that 14:30 marathon pace to an 8:30 marathon pace in 6 months. You've probably seen a ton of videos about it already, but just to reiterate and just to prove the validity of it, the low heart rate training, or the MAF method, MAF, truly works. And if you don't know what that is, you take 180 minus your age, so my age is 33, which equates to 147. That is my max aerobic heart rate. So meaning a majority of my runs, or any run that's programmed easy run by my coach, I don't go over that 147 beats per minute. I'm telling you, the MAF method works. At first, it's a little frustrating because I'd have to run so slow to keep my heart rate that low. Sometimes I would have to walk. Old ladies would be passing me on my runs. It gets frustrating, but again, it works. One of the benefits of it is you're gonna get a ton of mileage and a long duration of time without getting injured. And I can safely say that these 10 weeks of hard prep, I've gone through no bad injuries. Maybe a little discomfort that I've been able to deal with, but no bad injuries because I've been able to control my heart rate on majority of my runs. I'll give you one more example. When I first started the MAF method, in order to keep my heart rate at 147 beats per minute, my mile pace would be about 12:30. Fast forward 4 to 5 weeks later, we had 10:30. A few weeks later past, 9:30. So number one thing I recommend that helped me take my pace down is implementing the low heart rate training. Next thing, speed work. I did about 2 days of speed work a week, pushing and expanding my threshold strategically, whatever my coach planned. This came in the form of tempo runs, tempo miles, 1 kilometer repeats, 800-meter repeats, and 400-meter repeats. I love the speed work because it's so relatable to the intensity in boxing. The ability to push, throwing my hands, explosive combinations translated really well to these explosive runs. where I try to maintain these fast paces. The third thing that helped me take my pace down, I call it the art of simulation. One day a week I do a long run, 18 miles, 20 miles, 22 milers. These long runs were normally done on the weekend, and what I would do is I would simulate those long runs like the marathon. So these long runs, I would test out my new marathon paces. I test out my nutritional plan. How many salt tablets, how many gels I'm going to take in. What electrolytes will I be drinking? Also, I would test out my nutrition 2 to 3 days leading up to it. How much carbs am I taking in? How much protein? How much sodium? I'd be very, very adamant about how much my body needed to recover. I would normally feel very, very fresh leading up to that long run towards the end of the week. So my training split would look like this when it came to the running part of it. Monday, easy run. Tuesday, speed work. Wednesday, easy run. Thursday, speed work. Friday, easy run. Saturday, long run. Sunday, rest. Another way I've been able to implement dropping my marathon pace is integrating strength training, which I think a lot of runners nowadays still neglect. With my strength training, I would do about 2 to 4 sessions a week, but I would listen to my body. They wouldn't be too strenuous, and I'd go for high reps on everything, nothing less than 100. So say I was doing back that day, I'd have 100 single arm rows. I'd break it down to 4 sets of 25. Or if I was doing chest that day, I'd do 100 reps on the bench press, 4 sets of 25. If I'm doing legs, I'm hitting split squats, 100 each leg, 4 sets of 25. And another thing I did when it came into the strength training was strengthen the muscles around my knees, my hips, my ankles, and work on expanding the range within my joints controllably. So that's mobility, right? Flexibility is the ability to have that range through the joint. Mobility is the ability to control the range.
Best mile, 7:15.
All right, let's look at the split. So marathon pace, 8:37. Tempo mile, 7:44. Marathon pace, 8:24. Tempo pace, 7:34. Marathon pace, 8:41. Tempo pace, 7:16. Let's go. She was right, it worked. So again, the goal pace for this next race, San Francisco, is an 8:30 pace. How do I know that I'll be able to maintain or stay close to that? I've been testing that pace for the last few weeks, but here's the catch. The San Francisco course is extremely hilly. So I talk about extreme preparation these last 10 weeks. This San Francisco course, the climb is a little over 1,000 feet with big hills leading up to the Golden Gate Bridge. And on it, again, like I mentioned, I didn't start taking my preparation seriously until the OC Marathon and the SF Marathon. But I've completely fallen in love with the process of training. I love executing on race day, but I more so love the training part of it, the journey part of it. Another reason why I fell in love with running and endurance training and how it's so relatable to life. You fall in love with the journey and the process, the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs, the hard runs, the easy runs, the tired runs, the exciting runs. You embrace the journey. So if you like this kind of video, if you like this kind of content, please make sure you let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. It helps out the channel tremendously so I can keep documenting my journey, sharing all the good and the bad of it, and hopefully helping everybody else and their journey along the way. We have the San Francisco Marathon, and again, 9 days. We have the New York Marathon in November in a few months, and next year we'll be running the Marathon des Sables. It's official. Make sure you check out that official announcement video. I'll link it here. 156 miles through the Sahara Desert. Until next time, yo.